Oh, this is going to be a gooder.
You're listening to Late Night Radio on the SHR Media Network. Caution, there will be mature themes explored and potentially adult language used. If conservatarian words, phrases, certain concepts, or rhetoric offends you, tune out now.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Who?
I'm climbing through the chaos, got the truth in my back. Leftist lies and globalists, I'm pushing them back. From the saloon to the airwaves, I'm spitting it raw. Constitution's my compass, liberty's law. Big gods creeping, shadows on the land. Feds with the schemes trying to bind up my hands. But I'm the Sherpa, guiding through the storm. Red, white, and blue, yeah, freedom's reborn. They spin their tails, but I see through the haze. Media maggots, lost in the maze. I'm calling it out, no fear in my soul. This patriot's fire ain't losing control. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight. Torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpas, come and remember my name. Sherpas rising. This judge is twisting, trying to steal our rights, but I'm locked and loaded, got them in my sights. From J6 to the border, they're selling us out. I'm screaming from the mountain, hear my rebel shout. They mock the flag, but I'm holding it high. Stars and stripes forever under God's open sky. No globalist chains gonna cage this land. I'm the Sherpa with the truth in my hand. They push their agenda, but I'm breaking the mold. Their promises empty, their hearts ice cold. Chicago's bleeding, borders torn apart. I'm fighting for the people with the warrior's heart. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight. Torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpas, come and remember my name. Sherpas rising. I've seen the storms, I've walked the line. 41 years, badge on the grind. Now I'm on the air, my voice like a blade, cutting through the lies that the traitors made. Hurricanes rage, but we're standing tall. Sheriffs of the Constitution answering the call. From the saloon to the heart of the fray, we're taking back America, no more delay. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight. Torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpas, come and remember my name. Sherpas rising. The static, hear my voice resound. Conservative Sherpa, freedom's battleground. Berserk bobcat rolls will never kneel. For God and country, this fight is real.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, marmots of all ages, welcome to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, where I am broadcasting from Nof, Idaho, in an actual free state in the lovely SHR Media studio in northern, whatever the hell these are, the United Snakes of America. Happy to be here tonight. As you saw, I am this guy. I happen to be your conservative Sherpa. Who is doing this? who is guiding you through the terribly insidious maelstrom of Demorat leftist and globalist lies, chaos, bedlam, deceit, betrayal, and tyranny, and stuff like that that is official. That's as official as it gets. Now, tonight, I have a fabuloso guest, and it is going to be Amy Curtis. And BC, grab the book. I bought the book. When I speak to authors, I don't have them on unless I buy the book. Dun, dun, dun. And I bought the book and I tabbed it out. So, as per normal, as with any book that I read or any author that I have on, I always want to make sure that I have a ton of questions and topics for them. And I want you to see this. Amy's back there smiling. I can see her in the green room backstage. Okay, so let me point this out to you. Okay, this is the book, and those are all the tabs that I have tonight. And you might think, oh, it's just a simple little book. It's not very big. It's that big. Oh, Lordy be. Anyway, we're going to be hanging around for 2 hours, and I'd like to add now the act you've known for all these years. Amy Curtis, I had her on the show one time before. And so, Amy, welcome to you, and it is great to hear you. And to have you here.
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. I know we were talking about doing this, and then I had mentioned to you, I'm going to be out of the country in June, so let's try to squeeze this in before I hop on that plane. So you were nice enough to get me on tonight, and it's perfect. So
I thought, okay, God, where's my schedule? Because my schedule is so packed. So I came back and I said, hey, well, how about tomorrow night? She said, Wunderbar. I'll take it. Wunderbar. I usually start out with, sometimes I go with the Carousel of Amusing GURP, and I am going to kind of start with that tonight, the standard Mark 1 Model 1 Carousel of Amusing GURP. It's kind of amusing, but I'd put it into the category of, hey, scam alert, because I got scammed recently. And that's one of the reasons that I was not on the Sunday night Saloon. I'll tell you guys that story. It's not a story for tonight. Amy is the featured artist here. But I want to put this on so that you guys know a little bit about what is going on when you happen to go to a gas station.
He decided to message me on TikTok, and he wanted to privately, hell no.
Okay, that's not the one. I didn't want to talk about TikTok, for God's sakes. Okay, anyway, well, best laid plans of mice and men. So much for that. Okay, see this right here? Scam alert, scam alert. No, it didn't happen. So let's move on. Okay, shall we? Let's go immediately. Always plan B, folks. If you're a podcaster, especially live, always have plan B. So let's talk about some of the elections. And I'm waiting for something to come back in Idaho. And here I am in Idaho. And I don't have any returns yet for Idaho, but we'll put this up and I'll refresh it. Georgia governor primary results. Now, as per normal, I may be leading you guys somewhere, and it may be having to do with a little bit of a happy story. And so, because Republican Governor Brian Kemp is term limited in governor, so Brad Raffensperger was supposed to come in and just apparently kick everybody's butt. And I guess that didn't happen. And then Rick Jackson was looking really good. And then I guess that didn't happen. But that damn Donald Trump once again endorsing Burt Jones. Burt Jones won. Well, that seems kind of odd. And then, well, but wait, there's more. Andy Barr, who was backed by Trump, wins the GOP nomination for Mitch McConnell's Senate seat in Kentucky. That's sad. Any thoughts so far, Amy Curtis? Oh, by the
I'm
way,
noticing.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I said I'm starting to notice a pattern, but continue.
Okay. All righty. And with that, I have the permissione. That's permission in Italian. From Amy to continue. 6 states hold primaries as Trump seeks to oust Representative Thomas Massie in Kentucky. Well, Thomas Massie, if you listen to people who like him, he himself is gonna kick some ever loving butt tonight because he's so much smarter and he's much more tempered and whatnot. And no, as a matter of fact, no, he didn't. Oh, look, and this seems to be revealing a pattern of sorts because if we go back 2 weeks ago to Indiana, there were 5 Indiana GOP legislators who didn't want to go along with Trump on redistricting. Oh no, we play by the Queen of Marksbury rules here in Indiana. Wouldn't be prudent. And they all got defeated. And so
Yes,
I
they
see
did.
something of a little trend here developing.
Mhm.
Amy Curtis, any thoughts on that?
I think there are things that are twofold in this. One, it's the endorsement of Trump, but 2, it's also Republicans are being sent a message that you need to do what your voters want you to do. They want you to redistrict. They want you to do things like pass the SAVE Act. They want you to not dump on our ally Israel. Those Republicans that have lost have failed to do those things. So they're being sent a message not just by President Trump, but by the voters who are saying, you didn't do what we wanted you to do. We're showing you the door and replacing you with people who are hopefully going to listen to us. I think that is a healthy place for the Republican Party to be heading into the midterms, with the voters holding the status quo Republicans accountable for not doing their jobs. I am especially thrilled that Thomas Massie got shown the door tonight, because I will admit, a couple of years ago, didn't really object to him. Thought he was an independent thinker, a principled conservative, even if I didn't see eye to eye with him on every issue. And it turns out pretty much he just hates the Jews in Israel, and that was his entire personality. Now, why that happened, I don't know. But Sean Davis of The Federalist had a really good post on it that the voters didn't change. Donald Trump's endorsement, while there's a pattern there, wasn't some magical wand-waving moment that made voters change their mind. The voters saw that Massie was the one that had changed and voted accordingly. It is the same voting block, and from what I saw from Decision Desk HQ, is Massie never was doing well in the places he needed to do well to win. Like, this was Ed, and I'm going to butcher his last name, Gilrain, and I apologize. I wrote a story about him earlier. This was Ed's race to lose, and he nailed it. He absolutely nailed it. So now we head into, the midterms, I think, in a pretty good position to stave off what the Democrats are hoping will be a blue wave. I don't think it's going to materialize at all at this point.
Okay, well, you beat me to the next question, which is, does this, well, first, I can't not put this up already because everybody knows me. It's my nature to enact Schadenfreude. And so here, let me take my banner down so everybody can see the whole thing. Look, it's first the Indiana GOP, then Senator Bill Cassidy, then Thomas Massie, then Raffensperger, then midterms. Hopes may perhaps possibly be turning around a little bit. And Amy said, yeah, that's lending a little bit more credence to midterms. Now, I would be remiss, folks. By the way, we're here to talk to Amy Curtis. And tonight, she has a book that we're going to be talking about. And she writes at townhall.com. We're going to be getting there. And this is her book, Gaslight. And I have a copy of it for tonight. And that's what we're going to be talking about. I was completely befuddled after reading this book until I finally thought, get a grasp, BZ, because the only way to logically go through this thing, as I showed you the hugosity of it before, is just basically chapter by chapter. Now, I want to put on here so that I regale to everyone where you can find Amy Curtis. One of the first places that you can determine that is on X. I'm on X all over the place. If you want to see what I'm going to be talking about, just go to my X at BZ Saloon. But it's not about me, BZ. Stop. Go to Amy Curtis at Ranty, R-A-N-T-Y, Amy Curtis on X. Ranty Amy Curtis on X. And there she is. She's talking about her book, Gaslight, right there. So if you want to find out all of the things that she's currently featuring, go to X. And then I would be remiss if I didn't say, okay, Amy also writes at townhall.com. And look, there it is, townhall.com, author Amy Curtis. Now, I'd like to point something out that I consistently point out when she comes on. Oh, the first time, only the second time here. Like you have a massive history of that, BZ. No, I don't. But anyway, articles by Amy Curtis. Now, today is the 19th. So let's count the articles by Amy today. Here's what VP Vance said. There's one article. Scott Jennings, there's a second article. The Best of America, there's a third article. President Trump, there's a fourth article. My Gift to the United States, there's a fifth article. And MS Now's Katie Tur, there's a sixth article. I should have previewed this to see just how many.
You're about halfway there.
And seventh article, Decline is a Choice. The eighth article, just today, can Wisconsin sheriffs honor? A ninth article, Chicago woman. A 10th article, another wildfire. But wait, there's more. 11th article, 2 American tourists. A 12th article, a Judge Bard. Okay, so let's not say anything similar to Amy is not productive in any way, shape, or form at all. Anyway, go to townhall.com if you want to read Amy's stuff. She is prodigious and writes great articles there. And I also would be remiss if I did not point this out. This is where I got her book, Gaslight. I got it on Amazon. Now, probably there are other places. Well, where else, Amy, can you get this besides Amazon?
Right now, it's only on Amazon. I self-published through Amazon because I've only been at Town Hall since September. I was at Twitchy for a couple of years, but I don't have the, for lack of a better word, clout to get a publisher. But if somebody out there is listening and knows a publisher, I started writing Gaslight in April. I finished it in November. I can turn things around really quickly. If they'd like to cut a book deal, I have more ideas in mind. Probably a sequel to Gaslight, which we'll talk about in a little bit, as well as I'd really like to write a book about healthcare because I also have a nursing degree, especially the politicization of healthcare that we've seen in the last couple of years. I have ideas, lots and lots of ideas. I write a lot. A publisher would be that is my dream, is to have a publisher and to actually write books as a part-time career. So if you know somebody who's a publisher, definitely send them my way.
Okay, very cool. Also, if you're wondering about the nature of the book, Gaslight, it is voluminous. It goes lots of different places. But I guess an overview of it would be something similar to that Amy in this book lays out the ways that the Demorat Party has gone insane. Anybody who watches my show, her show, anybody else's show knows that is absolutely the truth. And the Demorat Party poses a threat to American voters and the country as a whole. Now, that's the general premise. It is a party backed with extreme rhetoric, and oh my God, does Amy have examples as well as I? Actual violence, tremendous amounts of gaslighting directed at the American voter with intent, including all those Democrats who say that they kind of care about this most. Oh, let's see, women, children, and minorities, and they don't. Mm-hmm. And so that's the general gist of the book. So I tabbed this out. There are 15, I think, chapters in this book.
14, I believe.
Okay.
Let me double
Alrighty.
check my notes because I took notes too.
Okay.
Just so I could plan this out so I know the talking point. It is 15. It is 15. I added a 14th chapter. The biggest issue I had with writing this book was every time I would finish a chapter, something would happen where I could go back and add it into the chapter. And just as I was starting to like get about the end of August, beginning of September, I was starting to really like, okay, I need to wrap this, revising, editing, that kind of thing. As you and I both know, and everybody else knows, Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And I sat on it for a couple of weeks, and then I decided, no, that needed to be another chapter in the book. That was such a watershed event for conservatives, for people like me. He was affiliated with Town Hall. So even though I only was at Town Hall, he was assassinated. He was a colleague. He was somebody I respected just from following him on social media. It needed its own chapter in the book, especially the way that the left reacted. So I added on. And after that, it was a hard stop of adding any more to the book. But prepping for the show, I went and, oh, yeah, that was, but this isn't in the book. And we could talk about that because that would have been a great addition to I could, like I said, I could probably write a whole nother volume just from everything that's happened from November to now. And it's May. So.
Well,
the examples are almost limitless.
Yeah. I'm sure that you had a difficult issue with, okay, again, I say, here, let me put this up so everybody can see it. This is the thickness of the book. Mm-hmm. I'm not kidding. It's a very thick book, Tovarich. And there's a lot of information in there. I can see where you had to say, okay, I got to stop. Otherwise, I could go forever. And that's not the point of a book. The point of a book, I would guess, is to archive a lot of stuff that you want to make sure stays, especially in politics, stays remembered. Would that be one particular issue? I might guess.
Yeah. And yes, and that was one particular issue. And the way I tried to structure this book, because it is so big, is while there is sort of a thread of the gaslighting that goes through it, you can pick it up and read the chapter on women and just as a separate sort of essay, as opposed to reading, because the PDF of the final draft was 341 pages long. And because of just the way they format the book and the margins and all that, it's obviously bigger than 341 pages. But I wrote it so that you could go in and say, well, what about this topic? And what about this topic? And they're all organized by topics. So you could look at healthcare. You could look at, like I said, women, children, COVID, constitutional rights. All of that is its own chapter. So you can pull that up and just focus on one topic at a time, as opposed to trying to read this. It doesn't read like a narrative. It doesn't read like a story. It is a collection of examples of all these topics that the Democrats not only gaslight us on, but like you said, and that's the big thing, that it came out of my writing with Twitchy that I started to notice this pattern, and just all of the political involvement I had before that. The Democrats say, oh, we care about women. And one of the big things I wrote about on Twitchy was how they repeatedly lied about abortion laws, to the point where Amber Nicole Thurman, she was a woman who in Georgia had a young child, found herself pregnant with twins. Georgia's abortion laws meant she couldn't get an abortion in the state. Drove to North Carolina to get abortion pills, took them, thanks to the Biden administration repealing sort of all the guardrails, all of the requirements for medical follow-up, took these pills, ended up what they call retaining the products of conception, septic, and died. And Kamala Harris using her as a platform in her campaign to attack Georgia's abortion laws, to the point where her family said, stop using her for that. And obviously Kamala didn't. But then there was this light bulb moment of, the Democrats don't care about the people they want to vote for them either. You are a means to a political end for them. Full stop. And the second you stop being useful, they throw you to the wayside.
First tonight.
I love when you get
many more. Okay.
Right.
What I want to do is, I bought the book for a couple of reasons. Like I said, I bought it because #because Amy. And then I bought it because it's an archive of a lot of the stuff that I like to do. I always like to go back, and one of the reasons I use my show is as an archive for what kind of stupid crap happened at this particular point in time. If you want to find out, we won't get to but a fraction of the stuff that's in here, but it's all footnoted like crazy. I mean, like Amy was saying before the show, I don't, and during the show, I don't want to be accused of not having any information to back up my arguments here. Oh my OMG, it's all right here. And A, it's Amy, B, it's a great book. And I never have authors on.
I'm honored to that.
Whose books I haven't written because I'm not a shill. I have the people on that I like that have great books. And Amy has a great book. Let's go to chapter 1 if I could, because I got about 3 more minutes before the bottom of the hour break. It says the Orwellian concept of fact checking. Oh my God, that in and of itself is like, okay, go take it. Jesus. Oh.
Yeah. And fact checking is based on the leftist notion that there is such a thing as misinformation and disinformation. But what they mean by that, and there is misinformation, disinformation. For example, men can become women just because they say they feel like it, or women, men can be pregnant, that kind of thing. But when Democrats say misinformation and disinformation, what they mean is stuff we don't like and things that hurt us politically. So we need to censor that and control that and restrict that. And the way they try to do that is by creating this concept of fact checking, where some authoritative body that they appointed, noticing a pattern here, would look at a story and say, this isn't true, mostly false, blah, 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 to set the narrative that this story, no matter how factual it may have been, is actually false. I mean, I have a couple examples. Jokingly, I said, President Trump could come out and say the sky is blue, and they would label it mostly false because they would say it's cyan. And tell me that I'm wrong. I like that. That is the level at which they would do this sort of thing. Here's the other example. During the 2024 presidential election, Kamala Harris kind of modified her position on guns, where she and Tim Walz said, no, we're gun owners, we support gun rights. But in 2019, she said she was in favor of mandatory buybacks for assault weapons, that catch-all term for big, scary things that Democrats don't like. PolitiFact wrote about that and said, as vice president, Harris focused on other gun measures. She has not called for confiscating guns broadly. That's not true. In 2020, she said as much in an interview with MSNBC. That following summer, in 2024, she said the U.S. needs to follow Australia's example when it comes to gun control. And in 1996, Australia confiscated 650,000 firearms from their law-abiding citizens. And we've seen what's happened to Australia since then. So despite that, PolitiFact ran interference for her and said that, no, her position has changed, because being honest about her position isn't actually fact-checking would have harmed her. With Britt Hume during the 2020 election, he said he didn't doubt that Joe Biden was senile, and PolitiFact rated that as false. Now we know Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson from Axios wrote a book about how the White House had to deal with Joe Biden's senility for 4 years. And then it wasn't until December of 2024 that the Wall Street Journal said President Biden was diminished, which is a very nice way of saying his brain was tapioca pudding.
We're going to play this. Katie Tur said some things, and I'm going to bring an article about that in just a moment. But we're going to take a break. We're talking tonight right now to Amy Curtis, and her book tonight that we'll be speaking about is this. It is, there we go, Gaslight. You can get it at Amazon. It's a great book. I'm BZ. That is Amy Curtis. And we're going to be right back after this. So if you need to take a break,
Conservative media done right.
Do it.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Listen in to the Reaver of Common Sense, where we cut through the noise of news and politics with a show equipped for bombast. Tune in Mondays and Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, and 6 p.m. Pacific, featuring a refreshing dose of reality. Jersey Joe fearlessly tackles the tough topics with no nonsense. Just pure common sense. Visit shrmedia.com, where you can hear the Reaver of Common Sense in action. He may not always be polite. He may not always be refined. But one thing's for sure. He always tells it like it is.
Are you looking for a way to boldly express your faith and love for your country? And check out Seven Armors, the premier apparel company for patriotic men of God, where faith meets freedom in style. Our t-shirts are more than just clothing, they're statements. Bold, stylish, and meaningful. From timeless messages to modern designs, we've got something for every patriotic man of God. Wear your beliefs proudly with Seven Armors gear. Don't miss the chance to wear your faith and freedom on your sleeve. Visit 7armors.com today and join the movement. That's the number 7armors.com. 7armors.com. Faithful, vigilant, steadfast, passion.
Are you looking for bold, honest conversation about the issues shaping America? Well, let me welcome you to Unleashed 101 with Jeremy Hansen, where we take you beyond the headlines. We dive into politics and culture, struggles of everyday life. It's raw, real, and unfiltered. If you're ready for truth with a punch, pull up a chair and join us. That's right, Unleashed 101, where real talk feels like home. Find us at unleashed101.com, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and more. We look forward to seeing you. Unleashed 101 with Jeremy Hansen.
Freedom. One nation in all of human history was built on that bedrock. Ours. A republic of the people, by the people, and for the people. Self-government requires freedom, just as freedom requires an individual willingness to self-govern. Freedom has made America exceptional, but it can only last as long as you and I seek the good, as expressed by the laws of nature and nature's God. It can only last if you and I choose to act as people of character. Forging character has been the pursuit of Hillsdale College since 1844.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey folks, it's BZ right here, and I'm this guy with my great guest tonight, who is Amy Curtis, and she is right there next to me. She has written a book that we're talking about in tonight's show, and it is Gaslight. Well, wait a minute, BZ. Why put a picture up there when I can show you the actual book itself? Multiple pages, lots of tabs, lots of chapters, super thick. You need to get a copy of this. We were talking about the first chapter. The second chapter is The Left and the Legacy Media. Well, I have a name for the legacy media. Amy Curtis, you're being really kind when you call them the legacy media. I call them the American media maggots. So I shouldn't expect that you would have all that much to say about the legacy media, or would you?
Oh, again, like we were talking about, there were so many times where the media in and of itself could be an entire book of just example after example after example of the ways they run interference. They're not journalists. They're not reporters. They are propagandists for the DNC. And the left's agenda on a broader scale. One of the things I talked about, and we just had another one somewhere, I believe it was Germany, but don't quote me on that one.
Okay.
The car attacks.
Oh, yes.
A vehicle plows into a crowd. No, time and again, they're driven by criminals, usually Islamic terrorists, but not always. We had Daryl Brooks here in Wisconsin a couple of years ago, who just last week I got into a fight with somebody who he was the victim of some evil nonprofit who just made him snap.
Oh, no.
And that's why he drove through a Christmas parade and killed 5 dancing grannies, excuse me, and an 8-year-old boy. And I listened to the entire trial. I watched the live streams when I could, and I caught up with the live streams when I wasn't able to watch them live. And he drove so violently through that crowd, and forgive the audience, forgive me for this, but that boy was internally decapitated. From the testimony from the medical examiner, that's what Daryl Brooks did. He was not the victim of anything. That car did not drive itself through the Christmas parade. He made the conscious choice to do that, just like the terrorists do. And the most recent example, injured 8 people. Thankfully, I don't believe any of them died. Prosecutors, authorities said, nope, this guy is just mentally ill. That's all it is. Okay. But if he's mentally ill, first of all, the media doesn't do any follow-up on that. They just say, all right, he's mentally ill. We're going to move on. If he's mentally ill, why are you letting him walk free? And this notion that we have to just tolerate the mental illness because putting them in institutions is mean is something we can dive into, at some point. But this is what the media does. And it's the car attack. It's Republicans pounce. The story is never the story. It's the way Republicans act or react to it. Hunter Biden, when Joe Biden gave him the pardon that he swore he was never going to do, and every journalist said, oh, Joe Biden is a man of integrity. He won't pardon his son. The story then became, well, not that Joe Biden pardoned his son, but Republicans are angry that Joe Biden pardoned his son, and he's just a father who really loves his child. Okay.
Well,
keep that in mind.
That guy was a motorist, Amy. Come on.
Right. Keep this in mind in January 2029, when President Trump, who will have no choice but to issue blanket pardons to pretty much everybody in the country, given what the Democrats are promising to do, watch them freak out at now this use of the blanket pardons. So again, the Democrats say jump, the media says how high. We have seen time and again. Susan Rice, just today, Hakeem Jeffries said, we need to break the will and the spirit of Republican voters. Media doesn't do any follow-up, doesn't ask any questions, doesn't hold them to account for anything. But if you are a Republican who maybe even said something slightly untoward a decade ago, they are at your front door demanding you resign from office, demanding every Republican from Sacramento to Schenectady condemns you. There is a problem here, and that's why trusted media is an all-time low. Viewership is an all-time low. Publications are hemorrhaging cash and laying people off. Couldn't happen to a nicer and more deserving bunch of people.
No, it couldn't. By the way, here's Hakeem Jeffries. This is a direct quote from him. We are in an era of maximum warfare. Everywhere, all the time. Directly attributed to him. Mm-hmm. I would be, again, so remiss if I didn't bring this up, because while I was perusing the book and tabbing and whatnot, I came upon this. You mentioned Joe Biden's cognitive health. Mm-hmm. So this demands reading. As someone on X once said, journalism is about covering important stories with a pillow until they stop moving.
That's Iowa Hawk. I love Iowa Hawk.
That was fabulous. I couldn't not read that. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, there's so much valuable material in here. Let me see
Right.
if I can go on. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
No, and I just scrolling through the PDF of the book, the 60 Minutes interview with Kamala Harris. They edited down her answer to 55 words on Israel and the war after the October 7th terror attacks. Her original answer was 239 words, and President Trump sued them over that. Obviously, we have Joe Biden's cognitive health, which you can dive into, where Jake Tapper scolded, I believe it was Lara Trump, about, don't you know how this would look to kids who have stutters? You're not a medical professional. And then he turned around and wrote a book.
And wasn't it Jake? No, it wasn't Jake Tapper. It was Scarborough, who said on Morning Joe, I believe, this is the best. But God, BZ, why didn't you get that video up?
Sharp as a tack.
This is the best Biden ever. Spare me. You fillet her of just anybody that lines up in front of you, I suppose. Go ahead. Why not?
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Shoot. Okay. Do you mind if I go to chapter 3? Unless
let's go to chapter. I mean, there are 15 of them. We got plenty to cover.
And I go to this one. The first thing, the chapter, I love the name of the chapter, Schrodinger's Constitution. Is it really there at all? Does it exist? Who knows? Ask the cat.
Right, exactly. And it exists depending on, again, like everything else, how well it can serve the Democrats in a given moment. When a Republican like Donald Trump is in power, the Constitution, we need to protect it. It's the only thing standing between us and tyranny. But when a Democrat is in power and the Constitution is an obstacle to their agenda, the New Yorker, is it time to torch the Constitution?
It's got to go.
The New York Times, is the Constitution obstructing American democracy? We are not a democracy. We are a republic. The Week, another publication, America's Constitution is terrible. Let's throw it out and start over. Like, I'm noticing a pattern here.
Yeah.
They don't like the Constitution, partly because they know what it does. And I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt anymore that they don't.
No.
They know that it gives us rights that come from God, and it limits what the government can do to us. They want the government to be the source and summit of all. They want the government to be God. Anything that gets in that way, they need to get rid of it. And there's no better example of this than what happened right before Joe Biden left office. He decided, or actually I should take that back, the intern that drew the short straw that day decided, I'm going to go on X and amend the Constitution to add the Equal Rights Amendment as the 28th Amendment. And Kamala Harris, Kristen Gillibrand, a bunch of other Democrats and media outlets said, yep, it's now the law of the land. We have just amended the Constitution. The issue is, no.
There's just a small part left out of that.
Right. The fact that they missed the deadline, and I believe it was 1984. There are so many. Oh, no, take that back. 1982. So before I was born, the deadline ended. And some states had kind of trickled in after that, including, I believe the last one to ratify it was Virginia. Yeah, Virginia in 2020. So Virginia ratified this in 2020, 38 years after the fact. And in between that deadline, over those years, Idaho, Kentucky, Nebraska, South Dakota, Tennessee had rescinded their ratification, although there is some question about the validity of those rescissions. The point is, they didn't get the threshold needed to amend the Constitution. This thing died before I was born. Despite that, nope, we're going to amend the Constitution and add this in, and there's nothing you can do about it. Thankfully, the archivist and the courts kind of said, no, and we do not have a 28th Amendment, but just the mentality of the way the Democrats think and treat the Constitution as this living, breathing document should scare us, especially given all the things they'd like to do to us if given the opportunity. I mean, we have a First Amendment, and it is a very robust First Amendment that protects, for example, religious freedom. Despite that, the Democrats have spent the past decade dragging the little sisters of the poor through the courts. Now in New York, they're going to start doing that with the Dominican Sisters of the Hawthorne, who literally, they run a hospice for poor people. If you are dying and don't have any place else to go, they will take care of you for free and let you die with dignity. That's not good enough for the state of New York. You have to honor the pronouns of transgender people, have transgender accessible bathrooms, and house men and women in the same room if they identify as the opposite sex. The Dominican sisters are obviously fighting this. Democrats don't seem to care. And this wasn't in the book because it came out just a couple of weeks ago. The Biden DOJ, in emails from attorneys working for the Biden DOJ, they fantasized about prosecuting nuns, about putting nuns in jail simply for the crime of wearing the traditional habit, the headdress that nuns wear. That's where we are with the Democrats and the Constitution.
Well, it seems to me that if you can resurrect and completely ignore process, but you can resurrect the 28th Amendment, then apparently you can resurrect voters too.
Apparently.
But wait, there's more. And here, Cranky Mullet, y'all wonder why Trump is called a dictator? It's because of this BS. Yeah, if Trump were a dictator, you wouldn't be on this show. If Trump were a dictator, you wouldn't be anywhere. You wouldn't be speaking anything. You wouldn't have any voice. You would be completely censored. The only people that are censored are myself, conservatives, etc. But I also had to bring this up. Even Ruth Bader Ginsburg made a slip one time and said, you know, that U.S. Constitution, it's kind of cat crap.
You should certainly be aided by all the Constitution writing that has gone on since the end of World War II. I would not look to the U.S. Constitution if I were drafting a Constitution in the year 2012. I might look at the Constitution of South Africa. That was a deliberate attempt to have a fundamental instrument of government that embraced basic human rights, had an independent judiciary. It really is, I think, a great piece of work that was done.
But this
should certainly be.
This is a jurist saying that what I'm tasked with evaluating and writing opinions on is something that I do not myself fundamentally believe.
Right. And I'm going to embrace the Constitution of a country where it is policy to kill white people.
Yes.
Because of past ills that they may or may not have anything to do with. And I wrote about that extensively for Twitchy and then to Town Hall when Trump brought the Afrikaners over here. And if you notice that there was something very different about the Afrikaners than all the other people the Democrats were granting asylum to. There were women, there were children, they were waving American flags. They were happy to be here. They were going to learn English. They were going to assimilate to our culture, which is why the Democrats absolutely hated him. And I'm telling you right now, I'm predicting a Democrat gets control of the White House, Congress, Senate. Those Afrikaners are going to go back. And the African National Congress wrote a letter when they came over here saying, it's a shame they escaped justice for the racial crimes of the past. So when they do go back, it will be a death sentence for them. And the Democrats don't seem to care.
No.
Remember, they like refugees and support immigration. Okay.
Yeah, but the other thing, Amy, that I think you need to wake up and realize is this nation was flooded. And I mean flooded in a way we'd never seen before with all 28 of them. How will we ever handle such a voluminous number of Afrikaners? I want to put this up here too.
Right.
Amy also, let me go back here just a bit. Amy wrote about this today. MS Now's Katie Tour puts her historical ignorance on full review. Okay, well, gosh, BZ, what are you talking about? The thing that we need to understand, I believe, fundamentally is our rights come from God, not from government. And I say this any number of times. There is Malum in se versus malum prohibitum. That's one of the first things I learned in my law class. Malum in se means that it is fundamentally wrong and evil in and of itself. Malum prohibitum means, well, it's illegal because, hashtag because we say, and under malum in se, government can just magically, mystically deign to remove rights on a whim or a trend, and has. And so the article goes something like this, very similar to what you wrote. And Katie Tur is saying that, oh gosh, no, hey, what did she say? If this will play. In the meantime, let me put up, because she's saying, oh no, you know what? Let me take this down. I'll just go over to your article. But before I do that, I want to place the truth up on the screen. And that's this. Hey, kids, look. In the Declaration of Independence, God is mentioned 4 times. Our rights come from God. And in there, it says the laws of nature, just the highlighted portions, in the Declaration, the laws of nature and nature's God, that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. The creator, that's not government. The supreme judge of the world, that's not government. The protection of divine providence, that's not government. And that's what in particular irritates leftists, Demorats, globalists, Marxists, etc., and any form of ist that you can possibly envision. And that is this. And that's why Ginsburg despised our Constitution, because the Constitution, as it was created, the Declaration, Bill of Rights, basically it says government is limited. It's not the people that are limited. It is government that is limited. Amy Curtis.
Correct. And for them, government should be everything. Government should be in every aspect of our lives, from the moment we are born, if government allows us to be born, to the moment we die, or government decides to euthanize us because we just cost too much money anymore. And so this notion of, and if you are not a believer, if you do not believe in God like I do, you still want those rights to come from a being, a higher power outside of yourself, because that means nobody can take those away. Not Donald Trump, especially for people who scream, oh, Donald Trump is a fascist. He's going to ruin our lives, take away our freedoms. You want those freedoms to come from somebody who is higher up than Donald Trump, because then they are protected. Then they are, like they says, inalienable. But they don't think that through logically, because everything is emotional. Everything is the goal of, we need to get power. This is what will get us to power in the next 5 minutes. So we are going to say X, Y, Z in the next 5 minutes. And then, of course, the next day they may say ABC instead, because ABC is now what will get us to power. But you want those rights to come from a higher power, because then they protect you and they keep you safe. As my boyfriend says, the other side gets to move and shoot too. And Democrats forget that. They think they're going to hold on to power and they can do all of these things, forgetting, oh no, we're not going to hold on to power forever. No matter, they're going to try, especially if they win in the midterms. They are going to try to cement their power, but Republicans win. Republicans get to govern. Then they get to do things. The Democrats picked a fight over this gerrymander. Texas was doing a legal constitutional gerrymander, and the Democrats decided, we're going to blow the whole system up. Look how well it went for them in Virginia, and now Tennessee is redistricted, Louisiana is redistricted, Indiana is probably going to go back to the table and redistrict. They are getting their clocks clean, because they forget they're not always going to be hold on to power.
It's BZ's open door axiom. If you open that door, don't be surprised when other people walk through. Now, I don't customarily interact with people in chat, because once we went to portrait format, we were exploded.
Yeah.
And I put that up, and I'll put this up first. That didn't happen when, you were talking about the 28th Amendment. That didn't happen. Only Congress can ratify an amendment.
That's not accurate.
Well, okay, then what I would say is, by the way, you might want to consider reading her book. However, as per all the rest of the people and most of the trolls with which I interact, if the argument is not won, then the argument goes immediately here. And so it becomes an ad hominem attack. And if you can't make your point, or people don't listen, then that's all you have left. And I'm going to make an example out of you. Ad hominem attacks are not welcome here. And so you can say bye-bye at this point in time. So anyway, Amy Curtis, please continue, if you will. I had this. We're going to go to chapter 4. We got 4 more minutes for that. But can you give us a little bit of an overview with what regarded Katie Tour, and with regard to what Speaker Johnson happened to say? Oh, wait, no, look here, I can play it from your article. Let's see if I can play it.
What about this passage from Mike Johnson declaring that our rights do not derive from government? They come from you, our creator and heavenly Father. Is this him putting God over the Declaration of Independence?
Easy answer. What is that, Amy?
The answer is yes, because the Declaration of Independence puts God over the Declaration of Independence. Like these people are so insular.
Do you not know history?
No, I don't think that they do. And I also think that a Republican is saying X, we must say Y, because a Republican is saying X. Like I said, President Trump could say the sky is blue, and those people in the chat who are complaining about him would go, no, it's not blue. The sky isn't blue. The sky is red, because I can't let President Trump be right about anything.
No, but you wrap up your book, and I'm not going to spoil it early, but when you wrap up your book, you make an excellent point that I definitely want to address. As Mission Ready Men said, these people are ridiculous. Read. I truly wonder, for quite some time, do any of the people that came to D.C., both sides of the aisle, I will include this, have you ever truly read the Constitution or the Bill of Rights through? Or have you read the Federalist Papers? Have you read any of the primary documents that are involved with the creation of the United States? And people, it's a living, breathing document. Well, okay, I guess that means your rights are living and breathing, and they can be abrogated whenever government feels like it.
Yep. A living, breathing right can have a pillow put over its face at any time.
So if it's a living, breathing document, then, it's just, can't we just, and this again goes to what's happening, what we're seeing in front of our face, gaslighting with regard to Amy's book. And we just not move the goalposts closer or further whenever we feel like it. And isn't that kind of sort of the point of the book, Amy Curtis? Then we're going to take a break.
Yeah. Gaslighting is this notion. It's a psychological abuse where you make a person feel like they are going crazy by telling them that either things that are true are not true, or telling them things that are not true are true, and making them doubt their own sanity, doubt their perception of reality, to throw them off and sort of gain a psychological control over them. And that's the textbook definition of what the Democrats are doing, especially to their own voters, but to voters in general. And that's the overarching theme of the book.
And with that, we're going to have to take a break. Now, some people have said, well, hey, BZ, when you take a break, you always say, come right back. And frequently I'll say, well, go to the electric wiggle chamber. And I provide this break. It's a public service. Okay, folks, So let's take a public service. You do what you will. I will too. Amy Curtis and BZ will be right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Mission log entry. I mean, let's face it, who's even counting anymore? The Lost Wanderer is officially off course, chasing rogue rocket launches, fringe science, and things that probably violate causality. If it burns fuel, bends time, or makes scientists very uncomfortable, yeah, I'm probably going to talk about it. Every other Sunday on KLRN Radio, The Lost Wanderer, because space doesn't come with a roadmap, and honestly, I wouldn't follow if it did.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Hey fellas, are you mission ready? You need to check out Mission Ready Men via Earl Big E Jackson on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, and noon Eastern. It's a show that equips you to navigate our society's challenges from a biblical perspective with courage and conviction. Tune into Mission Ready Men as we examine our culture through the prism of biblical truths, teachings, and how to apply them in our daily lives. Prepare to step up, stand out, and step into your role as a man as ordained by God. That's Mission Ready Men, hosted by Earl Jackson on the SHR Media Network. And get mission ready.
Want to make an immediate difference in the life of a critically ill child? You have the ability to do that right now. Make a donation to Dream Makers for Life, the organization that restores dreams to seriously ill children and their families. You can sponsor a dream pack for a child, which contains a clear PVC backpack, a dry erase board adventure coloring book, a journal, and dry erase markers to inspire a critically ill child to envision a future adventure and hope. Want to become a dream maker for life yourself? Go to dreamforlife.org. That's dreamforlife.org. Help a child. Help a family. There is always hope.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Good evening. I'm BZ. That is Amy Curtis over there, Ranty Amy Curtis on X. And she is my guest tonight. We are speaking about her book right here, live, Gaslight. This is the book. You need it. You want it. You need to grab it ASAP. The place you can get it right now is on Amazon. It's a really big, thick book. And so also thanks for listening and watching tonight. Welcome back to the Saloon. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to the Stentorian KLRN. And just remember, I only ask this with regard to KLRN. Please see the sign. Don't tax the Rick. Please don't tax the Rick. That's all I'm asking. And of course, our plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room is open for you and everyone right now. I mean, look at the fur on this guy. Wouldn't you like to relax in those wonderful Sasquatch Bigfoot arms? And you can imagine sinking in to the pillowy, buttery, wonderful goodness of a really comfy chair. That's like Monty Python's comfy chair. No one wants a Spanish Inquisition. Speaking of Spanish Inquisition, I am BZ. I am your host for tonight. Amy Curtis on the fly right here with her book, we discussed, oh, darn it, I forgot. I was going to go and see if there were any returns with regard to Idaho, because Governor Little is being primaried by a whole bunch of people, and the guy that's challenging him is Mark Fitzgerald, an owner of a bar who'd taken too much crap, and especially from leftists, and had been the recipient of threats, broken windows, violence, etc. So he thought, okay, I think you just motivated me to put in my hat, put it in the ring for governor. So where it is right now, it's going to be very interesting. Let's go further on, Amy, because I'm so disappointed that I haven't gotten to any things that I want to so far. Let me see if I can find another chapter to go to right now. Darn it. I'm going through stuff that I marked that I know now I won't be able to get to. It's frustrating. I cannot tell you how frustrating it is. Okay.
I get it. Believe me, there's so many things I'd like to talk about it tonight, and it's just not enough time.
No, there isn't enough time. And, in terms of a bigger boat, you're going to need a bigger book. Okay. It's as simple as that. Let's go to chapter 4, left-wing violence. It's different when they do it. Oh, but they're peaceful and tolerant like muzzies, right?
Sure. No, this is probably, for me, the most revealing and frankly the scariest chapter, because even in the couple of months since I finished the book and published it, we have seen an uptick in violence from the left. We had a third assassination attempt against President Trump. We have had attacks against journalists. There was the Turning Point USA journalist in Minnesota. I'm blanking on her name, and I apologize now, because she wasn't in the book, because this just happened, where she was attacked by leftists for simply doing her job. We've had conservative influencers on Twitter swatted. There's this notion that for the Democrats, violence is an acceptable path to political power. Graham Plattner in Maine, and he's not in this chapter either, because he kind of became a thing after I wrote the book, has said that taking up arms and violent revolution is necessary to make change. A Republican, I remember distinctly when Scott Walker, and now I'm going to say distinctly, but it was either when he was running for election against Milwaukee Mayor Tom Barrett or when it was during the recall campaign. But he cut an ad with him wearing boxing gloves saying he was ready to fight. The left lost their minds. That was an incitement to violence, and he was threatening Tom Barrett, and it was this horrible, horrible affront to decency and everything, because it had happened after Tom Barrett had gotten his face bashed in by a thug at the Wisconsin State Fair. And to Tom Barrett's credit, he was trying to intervene in a domestic situation, which probably wasn't wise, but I genuinely think his heart was in the right place. And this guy bashed him in the face with a pipe, and he was pretty severely hurt. But it had nothing to do with what Scott Walker was doing in this political ad. But you say something like that, no, it's an incitement to violence, and you're being violent, and you're going to harm us. Meanwhile, they're burning down cities. They're threatening to kill people. They're actually trying to kill the president. And of course, the White House Correspondents' Dinner is not in here. But if you listen to Alan Cole's or read Alan Cole's manifesto, it sounds no different than the things Ted Lieu, Jake Tapper, every other Democrat and leftist is saying, especially the part about the pedophile stuff. Hakeem Jeffries, Jamie Raskin, was it Pete Buttigieg? It may have been somebody else. But, the Republicans are running a pedophile protection ring. And then this guy tries to storm the White House Correspondents' Dinner to assassinate the president and high-ranking cabinet officials. And when that happens, they just go, well, that's the price of resistance. You made us mad, so it's your fault we're being violent against you.
Well, it stems back to almost, it's the point where, okay, name a leftist or a Democrat who hasn't said that Trump is evil, Trump is Hitler, Trump is the fascist, Trump is the king. Like we just had this asshole in chat that was here. No, a king, you wouldn't be speaking under a king right now, would you? But you're not interested in that. So people get it into their heads that another BZ if then equation. If Trump is evil, if he's a pedophile, if he is a fascist, then he's worth killing, eliminating, getting out of the picture, doing anything to eliminate President Trump. And I don't want to Bigfoot the end of the show, but it's like, if that's how you feel, and that's the platform upon which your brainulus is based, then this is you as a leftist or a Demorat or a Marxist, blah, 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 justifying everything that he gets.
Yes. Yes.
OMG.
Yes, it is a permission structure. When you say someone is Hitler, when you say someone is a fundamental threat to freedom, when you say they are an existential threat to democracy, those words mean things. Those words are designed to actually incite violence against them. And the thing, and the thing is, well, Trump says the media is the enemy of the people. Yes, and he's accurate.
Yes.
But there's also a difference because I'll tell you right now, Republicans by and large are civilized, decent people. The left is not. And the left is inherently violent because they can't argue the merits of their arguments, which we've seen obviously from the chat. So instead of doing that, they resort to violence because that's the only way they know how to respond. And that's why when President Trump says, oh, the media is the enemy of the people, Republicans go out there and try to harm members of the media. But when Hakeem Jeffries says Republicans are a pedophile protection ring, Alan Cole goes and tries to shoot up the White House Correspondents' Dinner. There is a difference, and I am going to point that difference out. And that's why, oh my gosh, we have to ban guns because you guys are so violent. No, we're not. No, we're not. But just in Minnesota the other day, they failed to pass some radical gun legislation. A Democrat state representative in Minnesota told her Republican colleague, go shoot yourself, and it was caught on video. That's who they are. They believe violence is an acceptable means to an end, but only when they're the ones doing it and only when it's targeted against their political opponents.
Oh, Amy. But. Hashtag both sides. Amy, both sides.
Right. And there's the more violence comes from the right. No, it doesn't. All those studies are full of shit, and they are completely biased to make it look like right-wing violence is a bigger problem in this country. You know how I know that? Because they would be naming names. Like all those Patriot Front, those ones that show up in the masks with the khakis that are probably feds. If those were really right-wingers, the media would have figured out who they were, named and shamed them, and gotten them fired ages ago. We all saw the one time the Cal Energy worker happened to make the OK symbol out the car window. Guy was Hispanic and he got fired. They find you if they want to destroy you and do it. The fact that they didn't tells me that those are not conservatives. We would know the name of people who were right-wing if they were committing acts of violence. When acts of violence happen, no, well, they just kind of sweep it under the rug. Or if it's a transgender person, they go, nope. You know, they really weren't transgender. They were just non-binary. They finagle the data to make it look like what it isn't, to cover their tracks, to cover their agenda. No, the left is the one, the side that is the violent one. And we have a problem that needs to be addressed. It's going around on Twitter now. There's a Democrat in Texas who won her primary. Her plan, if she wins, is to shut down ICE detention centers and turn them into containment camps for Zionists.
Oh, of course. Why not?
Where pedophiles will be castrated, and they just happen to be all the Zionists that she doesn't like.
Sure. Let's hold a 2026 pogrom. Why not? I mean, it worked in the late 30s. Why wouldn't it work now? By the way, Boyd in chat also said, looks like the Idaho governor won the primary. Little. Okay. So thanks for that, Boyd. I appreciate that very kindly. You talked about some things that made my brain think of this, which is BZ's absence theory. Beezy's absence theory goes like this. The lack of something, the absence of something is frequently as important as the presence of something.
Mhm.
What I mean by that is, okay, you brought up, and I think it's an excellent point. Okay, all the little dark, topped and khaki wearing and mask wearing white supremacists that were all over the place, that, as you say, they're probably FBI agents or inspired by FBI agents or on the payroll of the FBI itself.
Mhm.
Okay, if they were so bad, why wasn't there a massive investigation conducted by the American media maggots on every front to determine who these people were, their origins, who pay, and particularly who pays them? We know who pay. We know Singham pays all the leftists. We know Soros pays all the leftists. Well, who's paying the white supremacists? Why haven't they unearthed that information? And all the usual standard Mark I, Model II leftist trolls and assholes say, but Trump's a pedophile. Okay, prove it.
Right, right,
Now,
right.
wouldn't the American media maggots love, not just love, but love to get their hands on any information like that if it was verified? Adam Schiff, I have evidence. No, you don't. You haven't had cat crap. So presence, absence. Thank you for making that point, Amy
Yep.
Curtis.
Yep, you're welcome. And just last month, I think it was, we learned that the Southern Poverty Law Center was funneling tons of money to keep these hate groups alive. They were doing undercover work. That's something only law enforcement does. You don't get to do yeah, right, exactly. The Southern Poverty Law Center. Yep, right,
for
right,
that.
right. They were funding these groups to keep them alive. So then they could, if you want to talk about gaslighting, turn around and say, look, these hate groups, we need to stop them. Never mind the fact they listed Moms for Liberty, which I am a member of, as a hate group. Never mind the fact that the Southern Poverty Law Center's hate list actually led to an attempted mass shooting at the Family Research Council in DC when the guy came in and he was going to shoot people and then rub Chick-fil-A in their faces. Nope, the Southern Poverty Law Center, which has been cited as an authority on these hate groups by the left, was funding these hate groups. So, yeah, the absence of any sort of curiosity about who these people behind the masks might be was the biggest red flag for me ever of these aren't who they say they are. And I don't believe for a second that these are a bunch of right-wingers who go around in U-Haul trucks to harass people at rallies. In fact, we had one of those false flag events here in Wisconsin in Watertown. Not too terribly long ago, this story broke, and I wrote about it for Town Hall, where neo-Nazis who were probably funded by the SPLC showed up at a Gays for Groomers / Moms for Liberty protest of transgender story hour in the park so that the media could get their shot of the big Nazi flag with the moms and dads who are just trying to protect their kids from the depravity and going, look, see, these people are Nazis. So
you mentioned also George Floyd, and let me see if I have these stats correct, because I know I do, because I mention this frequently. Let's see. All of 2020 was essentially a riot. And which towns were destroyed? Oh, that's right. Blue towns in blue states in sanctuary areas. Imagine that, over a guy that was obeying the general order that was applicable to the incident at the time. And let's see, we had roughly $2+ billion in destruction, at least $2+ billion in insurance payoffs through that. 25 people died during that. And the arsons and the continued insurrection. And yet, it's like, but J6, 2 hours, where the only person who was killed was an unarmed female veteran. Now, if the role was reversed and BZ, who spent 41 years in law enforcement, had shot an unarmed female in similar situations where I would have been charged with a felony, and I would have been found guilty, and I would now be in prison.
Mhm.
And so the reason that the person who was a black male idiot who had just a short period of time before lost his firearm on the civilian side of the Capitol, where civilians could access his gun.
Mhm.
Oh, I forgot it. I'm sorry, but he got away with it. That's fine. American media maggots. Hello, strike again.
Mhm.
Imagine that. In your book, you mentioned I'm going to have to kind of skip through some
Yeah,
of this.
go ahead. Skip away because we're getting close to midnight. So
You talk about torched Teslas, which
Mhm.
everybody seems to have forgotten about.
Right. How quickly that went away because Elon Musk was the evil guy du jour. I remember when they were all upset because he did this and waved to the crowd. Oh my God, he's a Nazi. That's a Nazi salute. Now the guys are endorsing who has a man who literally has a Nazi tattoo on his chest.
Yes. By the way, that's a Totenkopf because I
Totenkopf.
studied history, World
Mhm.
War II, World
Mhm.
War I, because the study of the world is the study of war. The Totenkopf was in its translation is death's head. Let's see who had death's head insignia. Oh, that's right, the Waffen SS. Okay, no problem.
Right.
This is not the Waffen SS embracer that you're looking for.
Exactly.
Chapter 5, the so-called Party of Women.
Yeah, that one was also a fun run to write because women, as we know, by and large, vote for Democrats. I do not. I am the exception to the rule, and I will be completely blunt and honest with you. I think most women are vile, because most women are Democrats and leftists, and it shows. That being said, I do. Most of my friends are male. The women who are friends of mine, we have very similar political views, very similar attitudes to things, but Democrats, like I mentioned earlier, lie to women about abortion. They say, anti-abortion laws mean you can't get treatment for a miscarriage. Nicholas Kristof lied about Nevada's abortion law, said a woman was arrested for a miscarriage when this woman who was in her third trimester spent time trying to end the pregnancy by doing drugs, taking cinnamon, doing everything she could to terminate the pregnancy, gave birth to a live baby. It died. And then she disposed of the body. No, she was prosecuted for a miscarriage. What they want to do to these women is make them afraid to go to the hospital when they are actually having a medical emergency, whether it's a miscarriage or an ectopic pregnancy. So they actually get women to die so they can come back and say, look, this woman died of an ectopic pregnancy because of abortion laws. It is evil and insidious. And the Biden administration, the abortion pill thing, the FDA said, mifepristone, the abortion drug, had like a 0.5% risk of serious complications, including infection, hemorrhaging, and sepsis, which is a super serious infection that can kill you quickly. Ask me how I know. It killed my ex-husband in a matter of days. Even when they caught it early.
What?
He felt like he had a stomach bug on a Sunday night. By Wednesday morning, he had coded and died. It was that fast. Sepsis is a very, very serious thing. It's what killed Amber Nicole Thurman, because she took mifepristone after the Biden administration removed all the guardrails, didn't require any oversight from a medical provider, and basically said, my 13-year-old son could go online and order the abortion pill right now if he wanted to. The Trump administration is working on trying to rein that in. The Supreme Court is involved. It's not happening fast enough. But we have had stories of women, their significant others, boyfriends, whatever, get the drug, stick it in their beverage, force them to have an abortion because they don't want to. These women are being abused, and the Democrats are just going, it's the price you have to pay so we can have unfettered abortion on demand. The transgender issue. Women fought, and I am not a feminist, never was, but women have fought for years for single-sex spaces, sports, all of those things. And the Biden administration just said, Title IX, nope. If you're a man who thinks he's a woman, you have access to all of us. And if you're a woman who objects, we will criminally go after you for harassment. We will make it illegal for you to question this. And women still keep voting for Democrats, even though they keep kicking you in the teeth time and time again. They do not care about you. They want your vote. And then you can fuck off because they really, really do not care. They import millions of illegal immigrants, including Muslims, who treat women like garbage. It hasn't happened here yet, but in Germany, the imams are already talking about when we have a majority and we enact Sharia law, women who commit adultery, we will stone them to death. Newsflash, folks, a woman who is raped, she is considered guilty of adultery under Islam unless she can find 3 or 4 men to be her witnesses and say she was actually raped. The punishment for being raped is to be stoned. And the Democrats are looking at that going, oh, look at the cultural diversity. And it's a religion of peace. You have to tolerate it. No, we don't. No, we don't. And as a woman, I find it very insulting the way Democrats treat me and the others of my gender.
Let me make a comparison here, if I will. Idaho, where I live, is fighting off all the leftists that have decided that they don't like being taxed up the ass. And the comparison is this. Now, if leftists, Democrats, if you loved all the things with which you advocate, you would stay where you are. But you're not staying where you are, so you don't love the things that New Yorkers are placing on your shoulders. Seattle, Katie Wilson, Portland, Washington, the entire state, California, the entire state, Oregon, the entire state. Well, you love it when you say it and then you vote for it. And then when you get the results that you were stupid enough not to see, not to have the amount of foresight required that, say, I don't know, an average 5-year-old would have, then it's time to pull up stakes. I don't like living in the conditions that I created by voting the way that I voted. So, hello, House of Schadenfreude, and also House of irony, and the biggest house of hypocrisy I could possibly think of. You mentioned women. Women, you keep doing this kind of stuff.
Yep.
And all you're doing is ceding supremacy to men. And then you continue to put septum rings like bulls have, because bulls are in fact led around by their septum rings. And women, so are you. Just throwing it out in the ether.
Yep, exactly. You don't need kids in a family. Go to work and be a corporate drone for 60 hours a week. You can have kids later. That runs contrary to everything we know about reproductive, and even just the innate urges of women. But Democrats, nope, vote for us and we'll make everything better for you. We will be your husband and your sugar daddy. You don't need a real man in your life. And what we have now is half of liberal women have been diagnosed with at least one mental illness. And they are all just perpetually miserable. Yeah, we don't have time to get into it tonight, but
no, I know, but oh my God, I know exactly with what you're referencing. I know exactly that. Okay, folks, I'm BZ. That is Amy Curtis. She is, let me see, I'm going to have to close. Okay, when we come back, we're going to go to chapter 6 for the children, but we're talking about her book tonight, which is this, Gaslight. And there's so much information in here. You need to score a copy for yourself. It's not $79.95. I think I paid maybe $20, $22, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And it extremely reasonable, but it almost borders on being a combat book, because if someone is invading your house, you can hit them with it. It's so big and heavy, and there's so much to this book. It's like, oh my God, I won't get to a fraction of this, folks. Heavy sigh. As I said before, that is Amy Curtis over there on the left. I am BZ on the right. And we're going to take a break. It's time for you two. We'll be right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
In a world where leftists are running out of metal for the safety pins of their soothing red diapers, one man stands alone, attempting to fundamentally change America, one leftist diaper at a time. BZ, your conservative Sherpa, is guiding you through the maelstrom of Democrat leftists and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. Listen to BZ Saloon on select and exclusive Tuesday and Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Central, and 11 p.m. Eastern on the SHR Media YouTube channel, Twitch, KLRN, Rumble, and X at BZ Saloon. It's one great late-night conservatarian talk radio show. Be there. Aloha.
Hello, friends. You have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRN Radio.
It's Sean from the Edge of Liberty. Just like the Bidens, I too am moving. Only in my case, it's days and times. That's right, you can now find the Edge of Liberty Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, and Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 Eastern on the SHR Media Network. Join me as we talk politics, news, alcohol, fun, not so much fun, clowns, small kittens, large kittens, dogs, amoebas, and anything else that just pops into my mind while
Dogs? Amoebas?
I'm on the air. That is Monday and Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast, on YouTube, X, KLRN Radio, Facebook, Twitch, and anywhere else a good podcast is found. Please check out our website, shrmedia.com. I will see you live on the air.
Attention, all patriotic women of faith. Yep, I'm talking to you, sis. Are you looking for high quality, super soft apparel that reflects your love for country and your devotion to God? Look no further than Carry Girl Gear. Picture this. You rocking a tee so soft it's like being hugged by a cloud, all while showing off your love for God and country. Sounds dreamy, right? Well, welcome to reality, babes, because that's what we're all about here at Carry Girl Gear. We specialize in super soft tees, tanks, and more, designed specifically for the strong, patriotic woman who proudly wants to carry their message of faith and freedom. When you shop with us, you're not just getting a t-shirt. You're joining a community of like-minded women who are proud to wear their beliefs straight on their tees. So whether you're sipping sweet tea on the porch or leading the charge for faith and freedom, do it in a Carry Girl tee. Because life's too short for stiff, boring tees. CarryGirl.com, where faith and freedom meets fashion.
Independence. With that declaration, America was born. Inspired by a belief in the God-given rights of every human being, and in the good that comes from exercising these rights well. The founders of our great nation chose independence. As do we. Hillsdale College accepts no government funding because independence makes possible the good to which we aspire.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
It's the final half hour. I'm BZ. That's Amy Curtis at Ranty Amy Curtis on X. I am BZ at BZ's Saloon. Welcome back. Final half hour, about 26 minutes left in the show, give or take. Might be a little bit of overtime, maybe a minute, 35.723 seconds, or something akin to that. Our sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room is in fact open. Please subscribe to the channel if you would, please, because each subscription, I haven't said this in quite a while, each subscription, as everyone knows, gets me basically an arboreal animal of my choice, a porcelain Dalmatian, more cat food for my dogs, the timing chain on a 1979, I believe, Peterbilt 359, blinker fluid, or most importantly, more vodka. So thank you. More subscriptions equals more. God, I almost threw Scotty in there. Equals more vodka. Thanks, Duvarich. Skol, brother. Anyway, thanks to Amy for being right here. I want to play a video. What is this? 4 minutes? I'm going to be tasked with playing all this video, but I'm going to play maybe a minute or two of it to make a point because it's Avi or Ami Horowitz. Everybody has probably seen this video before, but it's not just applicable to a certain people with a particular paint job. It's also applicable to women as well, because Demorats think blacks, you are idiot morons. And Demorats think women, you are idiot morons. So if you would, Ami Horowitz, hey, take it away, dude.
I'm Ami Horowitz, and I'm here in Berkeley, California to find out if voter ID laws suppress the black vote.
What, Berkeley? Yeah. Oh, but wait, now the important part is, look who he's asking
Do you
in
have an
Berkeley.
opinion on voter ID laws?
Yeah, they're usually pretty racist and they're bad. I think voter ID laws are a way to perpetuate racism.
Would you go as far as say those laws are racist?
For sure.
Do you think it suppresses the African American vote?
Definitely.
Tell us how.
Because they're less likely to have state IDs.
Minority voters are less likely to have the kinds of IDs that have been described or required.
Okay, I speak leftist, so I'll interject for you. Let's see. Blacks are stupid. Go.
Carry ID?
Yes, I do.
Do you know any black person who doesn't carry ID?
No. Everyone that I know has an ID. Why would they think we don't have ID? That's a lie. Why would they say that?
Do you have ID?
Why would somebody think that women aren't smart enough to go ahead and get ID and or vote? It's the same thing. Demorats are the party of racists and Demorats are the party of sexists. Period. End of statement. Renty, Amy Curtis, if you would.
Exactly. Exactly. No, exactly. And because they want to have control over your life, that means they have to remove from you any agency that you have. So, that's why the whole Me Too movement thing several years ago. Well, if you are a woman who drinks, you can't consent to sex. If you're a man who drinks and you have sex with a woman, well, whatever, screw you. But the woman, if she drinks, no, she can't have agency. She has no control over any of that. Literally sitting right underneath me, under my desk, is my fire safe where I have all my important documents, including, guess what? My passport, which I have for me and my 3 kids. I was told I couldn't do that. Never mind the fact that I've been married, I've been divorced. I changed my name when I got married to my husband's last name, changed it back to my maiden name when I got divorced. Somehow I managed to get a passport. I've never had any problems voting, voter ID. My wallet is sitting in my little key bowl in the living room. Got my ID, show my ID when I go to vote. Really not hard. But the Democrats have such a low opinion of me that they don't think I can do that. No. They don't think that I can navigate any of this world without Daddy Democrat holding my hand and paying my bills and telling me how to run my life. And I find that really insulting. And if you have a bank account, if you drive, rent a car, fly anywhere, you want to buy cold medicine at the store, you need to have an ID. This notion that, old people and minorities don't have IDs is a lie. My grandmother never drove, depended on people to get her everywhere. Until the day she died, she kept a valid state ID so she could access things and have identification on her. It wasn't hard. Now, most states, Wisconsin, a state ID card, not a driver's license, a state ID card here is free. Okay. No reason not to get one. It's insult, but that's the Democrats. They know better. They're better than us. Only they can tell us how to run our lives because we're too stupid to do that.
Okay, I don't frequently do this, but there's a comment in chat. Boyd says, "You're white." Okay, Boyd gets from me
yes.
for the comment because, oh my God. Plus, who are the actual stupid people? I'm going to play a portion of this. This is Senator Blackburn talking to a Supreme Court nominee. Gosh, Amy, I wonder who this would be about women. What's a women's?
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition? No.
Yeah.
I can't.
You can't?
not
Wait, I know why. BZ sticks up his hand. I know why. I know why.
in this context.
So you
I'm not a
believe the meaning
biologist.
of the word woman is so unclear and controversial that you can't give me.
But that's absolutely 100%, as you and I, Amy Curtis, is intentional. And yet that person went to SCOTUS, who most of the other, this is no, I'm not speaking out of school or anything like that. Even the rest of the SCOTUS jurists, even the leftists are saying, this is about the most stupid bint we've ever seen step through the door from the basement and up the elevators to her chambers in SCOTUS. On the left and on the right and all points in the middle. Let's go to chapter 6 for the children.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about kids.
Yeah. So there's a couple overarching themes here. I think the biggest one is definitely education. Going back to this teachers unions, and it's gotten even worse since then. There was a story that I wrote for Town Hall where literacy rates across the board, except for in 3 states, and they're red states, Mississippi, I know is one of them. I don't remember the other 2 off the top of my head because there's just my brain is like a pinball machine. That's how I just make these connections. But there's 3 states in this country since COVID that have not declined in literacy rates. In Mississippi, Black students perform better than they do in California. And that's because Democrats, because, well, first of all, Mississippi went back to this notion of phonics and teaching phonics because it worked instead of all this woke claptrap bullshit Common Core nonsense that they're trying to use to teach kids how to read and kids can't read. In Wisconsin, like a third of students aren't reading on grade level. In Milwaukee public schools, Black students are testing at the bottom nationally. We're spending tens of thousands of dollars. It's going to teachers unions and the kids aren't learning. Obviously, there's the damage that was done with COVID. There's also, and this is a big part of it, the damage we are doing to kids in the name of transgender ideology. And that one I'm going to dive into a little bit more because what we're doing is we're taking kids who are gender non-conforming, gay and lesbians. So that means they're a boy, they're gay, but they present very feminine. They like feminine things like cooking and dolls and those sort of things. Instead of looking at them and saying, yes, you are a boy who likes feminine things. Nope, you were born in the wrong body. We need to give you puberty blockers, which, by the way, stunt your growth, stunt your bone health, your muscle mass, all of these things, and then pump you full of these fake hormones that cause problems. And when you realize, oh, hey, maybe I wasn't a girl, the damage is done. These boys have micro penises. Many of them will never have orgasms. They will never be able to have a functioning sexual adult relationship. And the Democrats just go, oh, well, it was your fault because you as a minor decided you were a girl. No, you were brainwashed. And the girls, like you pulled up that story, you have, like, I'm 43 years old. But to me, like, high school feels like it was only yesterday. And those 4 years went by so fast. And my eldest graduated. He's almost done with his first year of college. My middle son is going to be a senior in the fall. It goes fast. You have a small time of, like, there's just a small window in which you can do things in high school. And what are they doing to these girls? All the years of work and training. Now we're going to let this boy who thinks he's a girl take your competition slot, take your records, take your titles, and then we're going to pat ourselves on the back because we are so tolerant that we let this boy cheat against you. And I am going to bet a paycheck that 90% of these boys, like Leah Thomas or whatever his real name is, first of all, they all have their penises, and after they're done with abusing these women, they're going to decide, nope, I'm a boy, and move on with their lives after screwing over all these girls. And the Democrats just don't care.
Well, even the UK doesn't do this anymore. The UK, of all places.
Right. The High Court ruled, and now, in fairness, there are places that are dragging their feet on implementing the High Court's ruling. But even the UK has turned around and said, nope, this is wrong. And the only way this is going to change here in the States, we've seen some lawsuits come down. There are several detransitioners who have filed lawsuits. We need to basically bankrupt the doctors and the facilities that have pushed this gender affirming care nonsense, and that's when it ends. I know Texas Children's Hospital has now started the first detransitioner clinic in the country, and we are going to hear more horror stories of infertility, of cancer, of early onset osteoporosis, and a slew of other side effects from the safe puberty blockers that we gave these kids because the left and their parents decided we want the political and social clout of saying my kid is trans, rather than talking to your child and saying, no, you are born a boy, you will always be a boy. Let's figure out why you feel the way that you do, which is what a responsible parent should have done. These are not fashion accessories. These are not political statements. They are not meant to earn you woke points with your friends. They are your children. And sometimes your responsibility as a parent is to say no and to set those boundaries to help your child grow up. And I mean, yeah, okay, I won't lie. Puberty sucks. It sucks for everyone. That is sort of a universal experience. This notion that we have to stop a natural biological process because it makes us uncomfortable, not giving two shits about the damage it does down the road. There is not a pit in hell deep enough for these people, and there need to be consequences. We need to look at this the same way we looked at the experiments in Nazi concentration camps, the Tuskegee Airmen experiments, the sterilization policies that many states had well into the 20th century, and there need to be repercussions for this.
Well, it's the mental, chemical, and physical butchery of children, because mostly women wanted a girl. They got a boy. So now here's their easy and ready experience available to them to create their own fashion accessory. And that child is nothing more than a tool to please mostly the white mother. Do you see any Black or Asian moms doing this ridiculous, insane crap?
Nope.
I don't
but
know.
I see a lot of Hollywood celebrities who adopt, different race kids who are doing it. Charlize Theron, Annette Bening. She gave a speech at some event where she said, being the mom of a trans person is the most interesting thing about her. It's not about you.
No.
This notion that my kid is trans, therefore it's about me. No, there are no such things as trans kids. There are kids who are gender nonconforming, and for all this talk about we have to ban conversion therapy because it's evil and mean, and I tend to agree that some forms of the conversion therapy probably not good. I don't oppose things like talk conversion therapy because I believe, like the left, actually, unlike the left, that if you want to, if you are a Christian or you don't want to be gay and you feel like talk therapy might help you address that, that should be your choice. What happened to, it should be between a patient and their doctor? I guess that only happens when you want to kill your unborn child or cut your son's dick off. But transgenderism and gender affirming care is the ultimate form of conversion therapy. It takes gay kids who are gender nonconforming and says, you don't fit our stereotypes, therefore we have to physically mutilate you to make you fit into this gender stereotype. And on top of that, most of these kids are autistic. They either have depression, they suffered sexual or emotional abuse at the hands of somebody in their lives. And instead of addressing those issues, cut their tits off, give them poison, make sure they can never have kids and never have a functioning relationship and spend the rest of their lives spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on medical care. And if we don't do that, they're going to commit suicide. Nope. The study shows suicidality actually goes up after gender affirming surgery. And it makes sense because if you are a male to female, your vagina is made of part of your rectum. You are prone to infections. You always have to dilate it. It smells like feces. You often create a fistula between your actual colon and the vagina. So you're leaking stool out of your vagina. I wouldn't want to live that way. I would want to end it. And if you are, you don't have the ability to have an orgasm, you can't get sexual pleasure. Same thing with the women who become men. That is not a penis. That is a bag of skin cut from your forearm. You do not have an erection. You are not a man. You are a science experiment. And you have been lied to. Yeah. You have been lied to by these people who tell you mutilate your body to make yourself happy. And then when you say, no, I'm not, they walk away from you. They wash their hands, just like the abortion lobby does with women who regret their abortions and suffer physical and mental anguish from their abortions. They don't have, Planned Parenthood doesn't do post-abortion counseling. They tell you, go away. We don't want to see you. You're inconvenient to our cause. And it is evil. And they are doing this to children. And it needs to be stopped. Like,
who are the most susceptible of all? You're talking about kids who already have mental issues, who already have crises in their life. Yeah, hashtag puberty. But you're going to humor them because you want your child is a tool for you to use, and you will use it as a leftist, mostly mother, in any way, shape, or form that you wish. Let's talk about this story over here on the right. Tranny HS track athlete sparks shocking podium decision. Well, as you mentioned earlier, a lot of the girls that are in high school, junior high, have aspirations for moving into athletics in college. But if you're going to get your ass kicked by a guy, and you're not going to be going anywhere. This dude named A.B. Hernandez, 17, this dude captured, let's see, first place in the girls' long jump, and the girls' high jump, and the girls' triple jump event during the California Interscholastic Federation Southern Section Championship Final. It's a dude. Also, one final comment that I'd like to have Amy continue. I've had it. Hey, guess what, women, mentally defective men? How are you going to enjoy your prostate cancer? It's waiting.
Right. Like this notion that all of the, like, there are, like, not even the prostate cancer thing. Women and men present differently for things like heart attacks. Men typically have the more commonly known systems, the arm pain, the chest pain, the diaphoresis. For women, heart attacks can manifest as indigestion. They can manifest as insomnia, but
manifest.
Yeah, but we can't say that because, oh no, she's really says she's a man, so we have to ignore this biological reality. People will die from this, and again, the left doesn't seem to care. If you die in the pursuit of their political agenda, they consider that a win. They consider that a victory because you are a stepping stone. They will literally step on your corpse to advance their political agenda.
You were talking about education not long ago. A couple of points that were made in your book. Randy Weingarten, who is president of the AFT, American Federation of Teachers, not the NEA, difference between the two, makes $498,000 a year, almost $500,000 for that. And this is what you get in terms of smarts, because here's a person, a saint, thank God. Here is a sane person in the NEA speaking at the 2024 National Assembly. And please, I'd like you to note, at least finally, a calm and rational individual talking about education. So let's go.
NEA delegates, we can do this work. We must do this work. We get to do this work. We will do this work because our students are depending on us to win all the things. NEA, we have to win all the things, all the things, all the things.
I wonder if her point was something about all the things and do the work.
Right. That means, exactly. That means nothing to the kids. What the kids need is structure. They need safe schools. They need teachers who know how to teach so they can learn how to do things like read and do math. And people ask me all the time, because I write so much and they call me a machine at work. How do I do it?
You are.
Well, and honestly, I gonna go off on a little tangent here. I do that and I do it well because growing up, I read. We didn't have a lot of money, so we went to the library. I read everything I could get my hands on. Books, fiction, nonfiction, articles. When we finally got the internet when I was like a senior in high school. I got, on blogs. You have to read as much as you can, because it not only helps you in things like English, it helps you in social studies, it helps you in math because you have word problems, it helps you in science. If you don't have basic reading comprehension skills, you are set up for failure. And reading a variety of things will also teach you how to write. That is how I learned how to write, how to structure things, how to structure books, because I read and followed the examples that were given to me by this plethora of authors and outlets and genres of reading and writing. And we've lost that. And putting everything on computers, like remote learning, it is the worst thing we could do for our kids. We need to get back to reading. We need to get back to teaching penmanship in school and making kids, especially at the elementary, middle school level, write things out by hand. It drives my youngest son nuts, but I am making him practice penmanship. I am making him practice his printing, and then we are going to move on to cursive, because if it kills me, and with him it just might, he is going to have decent handwriting and he is going to learn how to write penmanship. Because I was at the gym the other day and there was a issue with the locker, so they had to come and unlock it with the master key. I had to put my name on this form so that, they can document that I didn't rob somebody. He says, sign your name on this form. I looked at the form and everybody else had printed their name. So I said, do I sign my name or do I print my name? And honest to goodness, this kid, and he was young, looked at me and goes, I don't know what the difference between those two things are.
And there you go. There you go. Now, Amy, you opened a door.
Mm-hmm.
The last one that I will ask you to walk through tonight.
All right.
But you opened a door that I thought, okay, she just pointed me to the appropriate chapter, and that's chapter 8, the China virus.
Mm-hmm.
That took many aspects of our culture sort of back to the Stone Age, including education, which you just got finished addressing, which you just got through making various examples thereof. So if you would, for the finest, biggest bullet point so far of the night, tell us about the China virus that I call Wuhan 19, please.
Right. Yeah. So, and living through that and working in healthcare was an incredible thing to watch, because as I start that chapter, I point out when we were first hearing the rumors of COVID and all of that, the Democrats were saying, don't go out, or I'm sorry, don't stay home. Go out because it's racist if you don't go and celebrate Chinese New Year. And if it's racist, you point out that this came from China. And then in the matter of weeks, it went from go out and celebrate to, oh my God, we have to stay home. And it was in Wisconsin, it was 3 days, because one of my sons, his birthday is March 10th. He was off school that day for some reason in 2020. We ended up going to see a movie. And then our plan was that Friday night to go to dinner. We never got to that dinner because on Tuesday, no, nothing's going to shut down. We went to the movies. Everything was normal. Friday, nope, you stay home. End of discussion. And that was where things sort of started. And then it became, and it was all, I guess the overarching thing was, it was all opportunistic and political, because they wanted to sway the outcome of the election. And I also, and I know this is where I'm going to put the tinfoil hat on a little bit, I also think it was sort of a dry run for, let's see how compliant people can be. Let's see how many people we can get to how we can get to like follow along with our agenda. And then it was the lockdowns, and it was the forced vaccination, and so much for my body, my choice. And then it was, well, it didn't come from a lab in China. It came from eating bats. And if you say it came from a lab, that's racist, but it's not racist if you accuse them of eating bats, because that's, for Americans, that's very bizarre culturally. And just the lie after lie, and the damage we did, not only to our seniors who in New York, Michigan, and elsewhere died in droves because we sent COVID positive patients to nursing homes, and the other people that died because we shut down gyms when COVID, when you had comorbidities like obesity, like heart disease, like all these other things, we did everything possible to increase the mortality rate of this disease. You get vaccinated, what are we going to do? Free donuts so you can get fatter. You haven't been going out, you haven't been leaving your home.
Yep.
for weeks, but here's free donuts for getting vaccinated. We're going to shut down the gyms. You go to the beach and outside and get in sunlight. No, we're going to arrest you for that. Everything they did was the exact opposite of what they needed to do, and it was by design. And I'm not that I'm one to like obey the government, but there's a reason we have public health, and there's a legitimate purpose for public health when it's done appropriately and responsibly. And now COVID has taken that trust and that authority and completely nuked it. So when there really is a serious pandemic, and right now Ebola is popping in Congo and the South Sudan and Uganda, and this one, I think this is the one with the 25 to 40% mortality rate, which is still much higher than COVID. And Ebola, as a nurse, as a person, scares the shit out of me.
Ebola and Marburg.
And Marburg. We are going to have an actual health crisis, and people aren't going to follow what the experts say because they blew up all their trust to win an election. And they not only like, and I've talked about this on social media and I get a lot of flack for it from people, but my dad died April 9th of 2020, not from COVID, from an unrelated, again, infection that affected his kidneys. We couldn't have a funeral for him. He was a Vietnam veteran. We didn't get military honors, any of that stuff. 2 months later, George Floyd had 3 funerals. And we were told, well, that's justice and racism is a virus and we can go out and protest racism. But I couldn't go to the frickin' grocery store without a letter saying I had clearance to go and shop.
But rioting was, we were told, rioting was a societal imperative that is overarching that transfer of Wuhan 19. It's more important that people protest and vent than they obey what their betters already told them to do.
Right. Maybe all those fires and the burning tires and buildings killed the virus. I don't know. But regardless, just the stunning levels of hypocrisy and the double standards that they had. And then they wonder why people look at them and go, we're not listening to you anymore. Screw you. Like, you have no power here. Or why people, like, I am not anti-vaccine. I think that there is a legitimate, argument to have about maybe they do cause autism. Let's have a rational discussion about that. Let's talk about how many vaccines we give our kids and make sure we're doing it safely. But vaccines eradicated polio. They eradicated smallpox. I am not anti-vaccine, but I am we're going to make you take this vaccine that is new and fast-tracked and experimental. And now it seems like there's a bunch of problems with the COVID vaccine, especially in young men who are having heart issues. So I thank God every day that I said, nope, my kids are not getting the COVID vaccine, no matter what it means.
Excellent.
I will go to my grave going, I made that right choice. And someone pointed out in the chat, Florida and what was one of the few states that stayed open and fared better. And they attacked Ron DeSantis for it. I mean, and I would really, and I don't have time to do this right now, but I really like to go and look at how Florida's education system has fared compared to the states that were locked down longer. Because I'm guessing there probably still is some decline because the decline is more than just COVID. There's other issues there, but I'm going to guess Florida did better. It wasn't one of the 3 states that didn't decline, but I'm guessing it did better than some of the states that were locked down longer. So these things had tremendous consequences, and they did it to win an election. And
absolutely,
they cannot, like, there is, like, again, there should be consequences for it. And they know that because as soon as things kind of settled down, they realized COVID wasn't the disaster they were saying it was going to be. Then it was, we need a COVID amnesty and we need to just forgive and forget.
No, we need retribution for killing our society.
Yes.
This is interesting. Rebecca said black slaves, 33% died. Okay, which black slaves and where? Native Americans, 99% died. Okay, let's see the stats. Just no comparison. Okay. Hey, Rebecca, guess what? I'm 76. I actually have a system that fights these things. Did I take the vaccine? No. I am the poster child for comorbidities, but I actually have an immune system that I garnered when I was a kid. Imagine that.
Yep.
And those who wash their hands, I didn't wash my hand. I didn't wear N95 masks. and I'm not very healthy. However, we destroyed our society for something that was 99% wasn't going to kill you. And so if you were in bad shape medically, okay, well, that's true for the flu. Anybody go back and remember that the standard Mark 1 Model 1 flu would kill up to 60 to 70 to 80,000 people per year in the United States of America. Hantavirus didn't. Oh, people aren't listening. Maybe they'll listen to Ebola. Amy Curtis, the conclusion of your book, because I so wanted to Bigfoot you on this, and then I withheld it. And I thought, okay, Amy, what can you tell us about the conclusion of your book? Did you think throughout all of this, this is what I think?
Well, I think that I start off with the big question is why?
Yes.
Why are Democrats the way that they are? Why do they despise America so much? And while there isn't an answer, it's clear, and others have made this point too, that the Democrats have ceded their party to the fanatics, to the radicals, to the extremists. And these people hate America. They hate Western culture, and their goal is to destroy it. And they will do that by any means necessary. I didn't make this equation in the book. It just came to me now, but they're like the cordyceps fungus you see in ants, or that was prominent in the video game The Last of Us. They take over the host and then they use it for their means. And that's what the radicals are doing with the Democratic Party. It has become more extreme. I mean, this isn't the Democratic Party that, of Bill Clinton and Al Gore even. This is a whole new kettle of fish that we are seeing here. It's infiltrated by socialists. It's infiltrated by violent radicals. It's infiltrated by anti-Israel, racist, dangerous people. And I'm not going to say that the Democratic Party is the victim here. They have it within their power to remove these people from the party and regain sanity. There is one Democrat right now who I respect, who is the only voice of sanity in that party, and that's John Fetterman, the guy with the massive brain damage. Democrats are going to try to remove him from office as soon as they can. So it's clear that they are okay with this radicalism because they think it will help them gain power. But what we've learned through all of this, and what I hope the readers learn when they read this book, is this is dangerous. And it's setting us up for a world of hurt if they ever regain power. Like Susan Rice said, they're going to hold people accountable. They're going to prosecute lawyers, schools, businesses that didn't adequately resist Trump during his second term. There's a Democrat who says she wants to bar Trump voters from using the internet for 4 years as punishment for supporting the president. That's not going to happen. But the fact that they're saying this, or Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader today said he wants to break our spirit. I know what that means for me.
Sure.
That means doing things that harm my family, taking away my job so I can't provide for my family. There is a laundry list of things that they could do to break our spirit. I wouldn't put any of that past them.
No.
Which is why I wrote this book, to get it out before the midterms, because these people cannot govern us. They cannot be elected to office until they stop being these radicals, these abusers, this actual threat to democracy that they claim that Republicans are. And that's why I wrote this book, because they are dangerous. And it's not me saying that because I don't like their politics. Let me go back up, 982 citations in this book. I'm not making this stuff up. This is their own words. This is their own articles. This is their own social media posts. All I'm doing is putting it together and handing it to the reader and saying, pay attention to what they say. When they tell you who they are, believe them.
Okay. Gosh, I'm going here Thursday. I didn't envision seeing myself going here now. Boyd says, and then the second takes over. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. Many people were trying to be as measured as possible and as conciliatory as possible, but that's just not working. And Demorats are just like muzzies. They'll tell you they want to kill you, and then for whatever reason, you decide that you're not going to believe what comes out of their mouths.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Mhm.
telling you
Mhm.
in real time, clearly to your ossicles, and yet you still decide that you're not going to believe them.
And I think part of that is because, and there have been, like, I've talked to pollsters and pundits on the conservative side who try to tell people what the Democrats say and believe. And it's so outlandish and so ridiculous and so crazy that normal voters don't believe it. And that's also part of why I wrote this, because here it is in black and white. This is who they are. This is what they believe. This is what they've said. So this isn't some fever dream that we're having. This is really who they are. And we have to try to get that through to voters that, yeah, they really believe you can become a woman if you take puberty blockers. They really believe that violence is the answer to their political problems. You have to take them seriously. As ridiculous and crazy and as outlandish as their positions sound, that's really what they believe.
If you're a fan, a student of history, then in a number of ways, you could say that it appears we've already had our own crystal knocked. And for those of you who don't understand that in that reference, go look it up. I educate as much as I can, but I don't have the time now.
Mm-hmm.
But history repeats, but only when you're stupid. And we seem to learn nothing. In fact, we seem to have what I call historical Alzheimer's, because right across the pond, we can see what's happening. Will we learn any of that here? No, we have our blinders on and we have plugs in our ears, and we don't want to know and we don't want to see, even though any number of people, leftists, Demorats, anarchists, muzzies, are telling you to their face, to your face, demography is prophecy. If we get back, then we're doing this to you.
Mm-hmm.
Period. End of statement. So, I'm sorry, Amy.
Oh, no, it's fine. That was fun. That was a marathon.
We didn't get to a fraction of the stuff.
I know. We're about halfway through.
Not even that. I did. There were 15 chapters.
Mm-hmm. I got less than halfway through.
I don't know. I got less than halfway through. But I want to remind people of this. You want to find Amy. She's here on X, just like you see, at Ranty Amy Curtis, at Ranty Amy Curtis. That is her right there. Also, she writes, shall I say prodigiously? Yeah, I'll use that word, prodigiously, at townhall.com. Townhall.com. This is where you can find her articles. OMG, what a show. Thank you for being here tonight, Amy Curtis. Oh my God.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. We will definitely do this again. And
oh hell yeah. We gonna do this again. Yes, we are, ma'am. Thank you so kindly.
Thank you.
Whew. Wow. I almost. Okay, that was Amy Curtis. To everyone who is watching right now, thank you so kindly. When I have authors on, it's occasional. They are, as I indicated, from those whose books I read and I believe in and I want to support. And I don't just choose a book. It's a book that I've read. It's a book that I think is important. And I think Amy Curtis's presence here and her book, which, oh gosh, look, I have a copy right here. Her book, that's how thick it is. In vertical, there it is. That's how thick, Amy Curtis. And that's the book title, Gaslight. You can get it at Amazon. You can see all the tabs didn't get to a fraction. It's like a standard Mark 1 Model 1 BZ show because it's true. I tried to Sean Streich, Kristallnacht in Deutschland. I know you'll find it, and that's the reference too. In any event, programming note, I will be back Thursday night. And when I'm back Thursday night, I will be talking about something similar to this. And let me see if I can go up here to media assets and place this on the right. And that's going to be the question for Thursday night, because we need to push back and we need to fight back. And I am extremely disappointed in the Republicans. That's an understatement. And some things are working. Some things are not working. But return with me, please, if you will, this Thursday night, same bat time, same bat channel, 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Central, 11 p.m. Eastern. Okay, 9 o'clock Mountain, but how many people live in Mountain Time? Well, probably some of you do. Anyway, with that, Thursday night, I will be having Lyle Armstrong on from SHR and Rick Robinson on from SHR, and we'll be talking about fighting back. How do you do it? Does it get results? And what are we seeing? So you and you and you and you and Amy and anybody else is invited Thursday night. One more thing. Rick Robinson on KLRN has a weekend wrap-up show, which customarily features himself and Brad Slager, also from townhall.com or Red State. I forget which. I think it's Town Hall. And Amy is on that show. I am occasionally. But if you would also watch that show, go to KLRN for the update on that as to when it will appear. Great show with Rick Robinson, Brad Slager, and of course, Amy Curtis. And with that having been said, I believe this is next, right? Yes, it's time. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening and watching BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show live and direct right here on Rumble, the SHR Media YouTube channel, X, Twitch, and the munificently grandiose KLRN, and tons of other bulbous podcast locales. Promotional consideration is by the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works and also by Shure and Electro Voice microphones, the Arrakis Corporation, who make my mixer, and also Pratt & Whitney Engines, manufacturing dependable propulsion. Translated, that's thrust, kids, that you can trust. And also, thanks again once more to amycurtistownhall.com and her book, Gaslight, right here. Get it at Amazon. And also, finally, I would be remiss personally, thanks to my KC-135 Kettle One refueling team with whom I shall be consorting in less than a half hour. One and all, God bless, take care, be safe. See you Thursday night right here in the saloon. Be here, kids. Aloha.
Everybody quiet down now. Get some sleep.
Night, everybody.
Night, Mama. Night, Ben.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children. Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night,
Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night and good luck.
And folks, remember,